they were hiding weapons in the cemeteries. My CO was, I want you guys to go in there and search this. In the middle of the day, go search the cemetery. So we go, the Bradleys roll. It's actually a rough part of town. Bradleys drop us off. I walk in, and the cemetery is L-shaped. We're going in there, tense. One guy's got a metal detector, beep, beep, walking through, looking, trying to find where the weapons are buried. We go through, we don't find anything. I remember looking at my lieutenant. Sir, we're going to mount up? He's like, hey, let's mount up. We start walking back. I'm at the high ready on the way out.
Yeah.
I come up. There's a gate. There's a red gate. And then on the other side of the wall is the Bradley. As I'm walking, the ground explodes. And giant IED blows up. I go flying in the air, land on my back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the next episode of Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. This is episode, I think we're at episode 191. Is that right? Yeah, 191 episodes now. And if you look online, it shows that we got almost 500. I don't know how that works out, but hey, I'm a product of the West Virginia school system, and I can't count that high. And I'm not going to argue because it makes the show look better. But thank you guys again for coming back every week to support Game of Crimes, to support Murph here. For those of you who haven't come over, check us out on our Patreon subscriber channel. That's patreon.com/Game of Crimes. Come on over and check out there. And we're recording this on March 24th. So I'm posting an episode later today on the extradition of Rafael Caro Quintero, who was the Mexican drug lord, who's one of the guys responsible for murdering DEA Special Agent Enrique Kiki Camarena. So come on over and check it out. There's a lot of fun stuff on there. I try not to get too serious on there, but just come on over and check it out. So you can see our guest here today. You can see in the background there, he's got a lot of badges and patches and photographs hanging on the wall. He's another brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Matthew Klein, retired New York City police officer. Matt, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure.
No, man, it's a pleasure. The only New York cops I ever met when I was with DEA station in Miami was the guys on the DEA task force up there. And all he wanted to do in January, February was come to Miami and make up some BS case because it's so darn cold up north there. But then once I got to know you guys, man, you guys are old school. You take care of each other. You take care of the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Some of my best friends now are New York active cops or former cops up there. And once you get a friend, man, it's a friend for life. Yeah,
it's a great organization.
So, it is. Matt's not only just a former police officer, he was also a U.S. Army combat veteran with 2 deployments in Iraq. He didn't tell me this, but I found out he got a Purple Heart. We'll talk a little bit more about that here just in a little bit later. But, Matt, thank you for your service, not only to our country through the military, but through what you did for the citizens of New York City.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're being humble, aren't you?
I had a good run.
Excellent. Well, you know what's next, ladies and gentlemen. It's our time for our small town police blotter. Before we get into that, I've got the disclaimer. This is a show about crime. We talk about bad people doing bad things. We talk about bad people doing bad things to good people. We take our stories very seriously, but we're never going to miss an opportunity to have a little chuckle at these dumbasses out there that are called criminals. Some of them, as you know, need to pick a different line of work because they're not really good at being a criminal. So, man, I think you got one from New York for us there, buddy. Go ahead.
It started off with a trio of New York City daredevils, surely soon to be in custody of the NYPD, filmed themselves riding atop a series of subway cars as trains barreled through Brooklyn and Queens. In the video posted on YouTube, the train surfers are seen running action movie style from car to car. In one clip, the surfers hop onto the roof of a subway car and overhang an above ground Avenue H station in Brooklyn. At one point, your dependents have to quickly duck down to avoid being decapitated by an overpass.
Oh my gosh.
In another video, a young man is seen riding atop trains traveling in Queens at night during the day. At times, one surfer is seen waving a strap at strap hangers, waiting for local trains. He also made sure to post his video selfie on Instagram. The video were uploaded to an account bearing the same name, Jack Sutton, and included a big thanks to Annie Kerner for helping us film this. While there are a few comments on the YouTube page, one does sum up the likely reaction to New Yorkers. I hope this guy falls and dies, but I also hope his death doesn't disrupt service. So,
that's priority.
Yeah, it's wild too. Anytime there's a fatality on the train, my wife was a transit officer. It's just, all right, get the body up, got to get going. You know, New York City doesn't stop, and People are pretty rugged, but it's insane how dangerous it is. And People are crazy, man. Just
They are.
losing their life over nonsense.
I mean, we were talking before we started recording here, and I told Matt I did some crazy things when I was a young man, but nothing like that. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's and I've seen some horrible photos and stuff like that of what happens. It's just throwing your life away.
I'll bet you have.
Tragic stuff.
There's no shortage of crime in New York City, is there?
No, there's not. No, there's not.
I don't know how much experience you have with Florida, Matt, but I don't know if you've ever heard about Florida Man that has a radio show that talks about all the stupid criminals here.
No.
There's so many in Florida, they got a radio show that talks about it.
That's awesome.
And so I got one from Florida today. And this one, though, is not a Florida man. It's actually a guy from Georgia because we like to import enough dumbasses down. We don't have enough of our own, so we bring some down from other states. But here we go. A Georgia man opened the rear door of a police car. He climbed in. He told the cop at the wheel, "I need a ride home." This was according to his arrest affidavit, so you know where this is going.
This is awesome.
And this just happened, in fact, this month. At around 10 p.m. Friday night, Andrew Davison, who's 31 years old and certainly old enough to know better, allegedly entered the car. I hate that word, allegedly. He entered the vehicle, shut the door, and, quote, while there was a human being, to wit, Officer K. Thomas, in the conveyance. Now, only cops can write like that, right?
Yeah.
So the conveyance in question was stationed on a St. Petersburg, Florida street. And it's so many of our dumb criminals come from St. Pete, Tampa, the Clearwater area over there. I don't know what's going on over there. It's such a beautiful place. But the funny thing is the cruiser even had their emergency lights on flashing when the jerk climbed into the car. He stated he wanted to ride home, according to complaint charging Davison with trespassing in an occupied structure. Okay, I didn't even know there was such a charge, but we do now.
That's it.
Davison lives in Statesboro, Georgia, a city about 55 miles from Savannah. Court records do not indicate what Davison was doing in St. Pete or where he was staying, but Officer Kristen Thomas noted that the accused man showed an indication of alcohol influence. Wow, there's a shot. Davison bonded out of jail on Saturday, posting a $500 bond for a misdemeanor charge, and he pled not guilty. Okay, yeah. Good luck to you there, Mr. Davison. Crazy people.
It's wild.
You see, how can I get myself in trouble? I've had a good night. I'm feeling good. I've, met some good people, had some good drinks. I think I'll just go get myself put in jail. And that's why we call them our dumb criminals. So
that's it.
Man, thank you very much for playing along with that. I know it's kind of goofy, but the loyal listeners of Game of Crimes I started to do away with it one time, and I got a lot of messages saying put it back. So. And it is funny. I mean, it's amazing what these people do. On the Patreon channel, I've got one monthly episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. And it's an hour's worth of stupid criminals all around the world. And you wouldn't believe some of the things. Well, you probably would because you've been in New York City. So.
It's Darwinism.
There you go. And just before we get going here all together, I want to show you my NYPD coffee mug here. This is compliments of Marike Bartoldas, who we call Mons. She was a guest here on the show in episode 174 back in December of 2024. And I told Matt I had the glorious honor of meeting Mons and a couple other guys, one from Milwaukee, one from Chicago. Got to have lunch with them here in Orlando. So, of course, Mons, being the person that she is, brought gifts for everybody. She brought a gift bag for everybody.
That's the way they do it.
I love it, man. So just to let everybody know how we met, Matt and I have a mutual friend here up in, I don't know if he's in Newark or New York, Eddie Molina.
Yep.
Eddie's former military and former police, right?
Yeah.
He has been one of the biggest supporters of the DA Narcos. That's another little speaking business that my old DA partner, Javier Pena, and I have. He has been, I don't know, for years now. We're in our 10th year of traveling around the world telling the true story of Pablo Escobar. And Eddie, I know he supported us at least for 8 or 9 of those years. It's amazing. And I've never even had the opportunity to meet him in person yet.
Oh, so, yeah. Nice.
Hopefully at some point that'll happen. He just come up and speak at an event up in New York, but it was right at the beginning of COVID. That canceled everything, screwed everything up. But now Eddie writes articles for law enforcement papers and articles, media. He's a big writer, contributor to Law Enforcement Today, which is a pretty big deal in the law enforcement angle. Eddie, thank you so much, brother, for this introduction. Now, instead of everybody listening to me, I want to get over to you, Matt. If you would, just give us a little background about where you grew up, what your family dynamics were, brothers and sisters, what mom and dad did, your school activities and things like that, if you would.
Yeah, so I grew up out in Long Island, New York. And I lived out in Suffolk County, which is kind of like a rural area. It's kind of a lot more space. Not the urban jungle that New York City is.
Yeah.
But I grew up there. My dad was actually an animator and artist for Walt Disney and Warner Brothers, and did tons of stuff. And
Wow.
that's where I got my artistic background from, because I just grew up with that whole art background. My mom's a stay-at-home mom. I was one of 5 siblings.
Mm.
And I just went to school. And as I was growing up, I was always doing the art thing, but I always saw from my father, the art lifestyle was very hard. It was always feast and famine. He did really well. And then there was years where he wasn't doing so well. So as I got older, I was kind of like shaking a little bit, but I don't know if I want to go into the art field just because how competitive it is. And it's a hard life. So I ended up going a direction as I got older.
Where did you fall in that stack of kids?
I was number 1.
Oh, you're the oldest, huh?
I was the first. So it was me and my sister, and then followed by 3 other siblings a couple of years later.
Yeah.
But it was very nice, growing up with a big family.
Now, I've never been to Suffolk County that I know of, but I know that they used to be the highest paid police department in the country.
Yeah, I think they're like number 2 or 3.
Wow.
So they just had a new contract that's pretty amazing.
How far out of New York City is that?
Maybe 70 miles away. I don't know. It's a big county. So.
Yeah. So what we're hearing is that you grew up a rich kid.
No, I definitely lived in one of the lower of the towns out there. Affordable for an artist family.
Understood. When you were in high school, did you play any sports?
No, I tried out for sports a couple times. My school, I went to William Floyd High School, which is a monster school. And I think my kids actually go there, and I think their graduating class 600 plus kids. So yeah, you got to be cream of the crop to even make it into. I remember I was cut third cuts or whatever. Yeah, the competition's fierce there. They have good sports teams and stuff, but I was nowhere good enough for that.
Yeah. If you had made it, what sports were your favorite?
I tried out for basketball 2 years in a row. So basketball. Looking back, I should have went into like a lot of things retrospectively. I should have done wrestling and maybe tried out for football or something. But I was kind of a nerd.
That's all right.
So I just wanted to get out of school as fast as possible.
Didn't we all?
It's amazing, right?
Brings back memories. So your kids are going to the same high school. Where you live now, how close is that to where you grew up?
I ended up moving out to Nassau County, closer to the city for my career and everything. But I'm so sorry. What was the question again?
How close, where you live now, how close is that to where you grew up with your parents and your siblings?
About 50 miles away now.
Oh, it's that far. But your kids go to the same high school?
Yeah. I'm divorced.
Wow. Okay, gotcha. How many kids do you have?
3. Yeah. So my oldest, he actually graduated high school 2 years ago, and he's enlisted in the Army, and he's in the 82nd Airborne right now. So
excellent.
I followed in my footsteps and is doing the infantry route and just jumping out of planes, doing awesome stuff, and really, really proud of him. And then my twins are graduating high school this year. So
very cool.
But everybody's shaking and baking, moving in the right direction.
Do the twins have any idea what they want to do with their lives?
Not yet. They're going to go to community college for liberal arts and see where that goes and stuff. It's so funny, retrospectively looking back on your life. You're 18 years old. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? It's pretty daunting.
Did you know what you wanted to do with your life before you graduated?
Not really. I was kind of floundering. I went to community college for a little bit, really didn't know what to do. And what happened with me was one of the things back in my past was my grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was a dive bomber pilot. Yeah, legit. That movie that came out a couple of years ago, Midway, with featured his plane a lot, the McDouglas Dauntless dive bomber. That was his. So he was on the Ticonderoga Canal, Iwo Jima. His brother was a navigator on a B-17 and was shot down and killed in Germany during the war. So I grew up with all that war stories. And the big thing with him and his brother was when Pearl Harbor hit, they were jumping in. So here I am, this kid floundering through community college, really no idea what to do and stuff. 9/11 happens. And 9/11 was my Pearl Harbor. So just anger and just wanted to get involved. And even originally, I was kind of thinking about being a police officer. And for NYPD, you needed 60 credits or military service. So I was kind of like, let me find a unit. I want to go to Iraq. I heard the Iraq campaign was going to kick off. And so I could kill all birds with one stone. So let me sign up. I'll get my fight on, get over there and do my part. I'm not doing anything. So it's my job to serve the country. Let me do this. So I went the military route and then started off, my career and my life and everything. It really got me, structured in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Very honorable. Wow. It's funny you mentioned that Pearl Harbor or that 9/11 was your Pearl Harbor, because in the Narco series, the first episode, not everything's true they see on TV. So,
Yeah.
but I did tell him my dad fought in World War II. He was in Europe, and then my
Okay.
father-in-law, he was in the Pacific. He was
Mhm.
in the Navy. My dad was in the Army, and so in the there was a lot of working with the writers and the executive producer. I think they say something at the end of episode 1 where it shows my wife and I getting on the plane heading to Bogota, Colombia for the first time, and it says something like, "This is my war." Talking about how
Yeah.
my dad stepped up to the plate. And let me tell you, I didn't do anything compared to what those heroes did back then. So,
World War II. Like my grandfather's stories. Yeah, I'm actually gonna do some artwork for some of the stories he told me about, but just doing close air support, bombing tanks and stuff, and going after ships and destroyers and stuff. Wild. And there was
wow,
no guidance system. You had to dive on top of the target, and then you
dead
were
reckoning.
vulnerable. It was pulled out. Yeah,
Oh
just
my gosh.
half his squadron was killed, and he passed away when I was actually in the police academy in '06. It's just I wish I got a lot of stories down. I wish I got a little bit more,
Hmm.
but just a great generation.
Yeah, as we get older, I don't know, maybe it's part of the getting older process, but I wish I'd spent more time talking to my dad and my father-in-law about what they did, what they saw, what they
Yeah,
experienced, why they did it. I mean, that was the greatest generation. You
yeah,
just have
they
the
really,
utmost respect for them. I remember we used to live up in D.C. and my in-laws came up to visit, and so we took my father-in-law down to the World War II monument that had just built a big circle, and he got in there and he would not talk to his family about things that he saw over in the Pacific. It was that horrific.
yeah,
And we used to go on family vacations together down to the beach, and he and I would ride in one car because he smoked, and then his wife and my wife and the granddaughters would get in their car, and he would open up then and tell me some stories, and he talked about the sea actually turning red from all
yeah,
the blood in the water and just horrific things. But we got him in that World War II. He's a tough guy. He came back. He was an auto mechanic. Then he became a lifelong coal miner. Almost got killed in the coal mines, and so then he runs a farm raising cattle, which is hard labor. That's manual labor. And here's this tough guy that you could shake hands with him. He's in his 70s. He still puts you on your knees if you thought
mm.
you were tough. And he just broke down when he got inside there.
Yeah,
Just brought back so many a flood of memories to him. And there's nothing he can do except stand there and support him. But
yeah,
just can't imagine what all those folks went through back then.
yeah.
And they came back and nobody complained.
That's the thing. My grandfather, he went through all that shit, and he came back. I think he went back to school, became an engineer, worked there for what do you call it? I forget the name of it. There's a big engineering science facility out in Suffolk County, Brookhaven Lab, and
Okay.
he worked in the nuclear department there. Just got down with it, worked that full until he retired, and called it
Yeah.
a day. He
Wow.
didn't come back and do the victim card or lived a good American life.
Yep. And listen, for our listeners, we're not taking away from more modern day warriors and heroes out there. That's not what this is all about. It's just it was a different lifestyle, a different way of thinking back then. So hats off to all our military veterans, whether World War II, World War One, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever war they participated in, guys and ladies. Thank you for your service, and especially you, Matt, because you're one of them. It's funny because one of my best friends in high school, he and I decided we were going to join the military and go to the Air Force and do it on the buddy system. And when
Yeah,
time came, he went and I went to college. And we're still friends today, believe it or not. So
that's
Jerry
funny.
Legier, he reestablished contact about a year ago. So we're catching up
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it kind of worked out for him, too, because he got stationed in Myrtle Beach when they still had an air base down there.
Oh, yeah.
Not a bad place to be stationed.
Yeah, the Air Force it's a good deal. It's a good gig.
So now you mentioned 9/11, and that's what influenced you to join the military?
Yeah, to go over there. Yeah, it's
Did,
just I had a lot of anger and rage in me. Just like the whole Pearl Harbor experience. That's what I remember. Just watching it on TV. I was working in retail as a young kid, and then I was actually carpooling the day of 9/11. I was carpooling with my manager, who was a girl I went to high school with, and we're going, and we hear it on the radio. An airplane hit the Trade Center, and first thing I thought was a Cessna, a small plane or something.
mm-hmm.
So then we get to work, and I worked in outlets doing retail, and we had the radio on, and you hear another plane just hit, and we're like, yo, that's freaking terrorism. So we got the word, the whole outlet closed down. She drove me back home, dropped me off, and I turned on the news and just saw it, and it's the most unbelievable thing that everybody else saw, and just watching it over and over again, that fireball and stuff, and I just couldn't believe it. And then instantly you saw everybody, the country mobilizing on the
Mm-hmm.
news and stuff. And, I just wanted to get in the fight.
Yeah. God bless you, man. I had just got stationed in Washington the first time, and in our Special Operations Division, which is a secret offsite out in Northern Virginia there. And my boss grew up in Long Island. He's actually the acting administrator DEA right now, Derek Maltz.
Oh.
And I was the token Southern guy in our group back there. And so we all went into Derek's office, and there were several guys from New York who had family members in the fire department and the police department. And just being with them, watching what's going on, I just kept my mouth shut because they're on the phone trying to call family members to see, is Uncle so and so, where's he at? Is he
Yeah.
on duty today? What precinct's he in? What part of town is he? It was really horrific.
Yeah.
And then the plane that hit the embassy,
Yeah.
that's right across the interstate from DEA headquarters. So a lot of our folks up
Yeah.
there actually saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, just what a terrible time for our country.
It really was. I remember when it was all going on, I called my father on a landline, and what do you call it? You see what's going on, and he told me, they just hit the Pentagon, and I didn't believe him. I'm like, get out of here! No way! There's no way. We're the greatest military country on the planet. They hit the Pentagon, and then I turn on the news, and there it is. It's unbelievable. Just a dark day, dark
really
day,
was.
and it changed the trajectory of so many lives in the world, pretty much, just that one attack.
Yep. So that happened on 9/11/2001. How long did it take you to go to the recruiter?
Oh, pretty quickly. So Afghanistan kicked off, and it kind of simmered down a bit. It was pretty much a special operations kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I heard about that Iraq was going to go down. So I started hearing people talk about it in like summer of 2022. So by the time I got there, I actually got signed up with 3rd Infantry Division. So they were getting ready to go. And the recruiters they had me talk to one of the station officers, and they're like, listen, you want to see combat? You go to 3rd ID. Their 1st Brigade is set to go, and they're going to be one of the first ones over during the invasion. So I signed up, but I didn't even get to my unit until April of 2003. So the invasion already kicked off. It started about March 19th. It kicked off. So I didn't get to go there for a month. I went there as a replacement for people that were killed or had emergency situations. They had to get flown back. So I went there, and in April of 2003, I got there. So I missed the invasion by a couple of weeks, but I was fortunate enough just to get there, to be there in the very beginning of it all. But pretty much major combat operations had ended. They'd seized 3rd Infantry Division, actually did the Thunder Run. They were the first ones to Baghdad. And then a couple of days later, 1st Marine Division, I believe, made it into Baghdad. But it was a pretty wild experience.
What did you do? What was your MOS in the Army?
I was 11 Bravo. I was an infantryman.
So you're a ground pound.
Just a ground guy, grunt. So, and I was mechanized, so I was a dismount in Bradley's. So
that takes balls to do that.
Yeah, no, it was good. In that deployment, I was a rifleman, and then the 2nd deployment, I was a squad marksman, and then I did all types of positions. I was a machine gunner and was a grenadier, and all different positions in an infantry squad. So it was a good experience. I wanted just to be a grunt so bad. I just wanted to do the infantry experience and go through with it, and I got it. I was very fortunate. There was one time when we get back, there was the sergeant major and like battalion headquarters. They needed a driver, so they're all. I was a new guy, and they're like, maybe Klein was like, no, I don't want to be a driver. I just want to be a dude with a rifle. I just want to. It's like that scene in Black Hawk Down. I forget what character it is, but he signs up to be a ranger, but he's good at computer skills. So they make him like the S1 clerk, and they're going to miss out on combat. I did not want to be that. I wanted to get my fight on.
When you went through basic training, I mean, how tough was that?
The biggest thing was the cultural shock, dealing with other people, getting thrown into an environment. So it wasn't bad. It was just counting the days down, getting it done. But you'll learn a lot of stuff about yourself, which is really cool. But the one thing I liked about it was like a wartime basic training. Mm-hmm. So the drill sergeants were all, everything you did, anything you did, if you did it wrong, if you do it in Afghanistan, you're going to die. So if you do that, what are you doing? If you're doing that in Afghanistan, you are going to die. So the joke was, anything you did wrong, you were going to die. If you go to Burger King and order a number 2 in Afghanistan, you're going to die, So it was just everything. But it was great, though. That's the experience, and it's crazy. And then I graduated with a bunch of good dudes. They all went all different places. And then you see what happened to them, and I saw a couple guys on TV. My platoon guy, he was the soldier. He was a stud. He was the best shooter, the most physically fit, all this types of stuff. And he ended up getting killed. And I remember I didn't know that he died until a year later. I actually got out and I was just going through some articles and his face popped up and it was a year later. And I remember just crying, just horrifically tearing up and just bawling by myself, finding out this guy. And I hadn't seen him in 2 years that he got killed. Just, but
it's one of your brothers that you went through combat with.
Yeah.
I try to explain to people about that brotherhood thing. When you experience these high risk situations and the bond becomes closer than brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know, and here you are 2 years later, hadn't even seen him in 2 years, didn't know anything about it, and it still affected you like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
yeah, just like that in law enforcement as well.
Yeah.
Brotherhood and sisterhood.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not to get too personal here, but did you suffer any type of traumatic events when you came home, PTSD, anything like that?
Yeah. Like I'm retired now and everything, but like the thing was like I had PTSD from all the, the different stuff that I suffered over there, like anybody. The one thing that's wild about like the military compared to law enforcement, which is cool because I was able to have both experience and like look back at it and everything. The military, like when I was in Iraq, tons of crazy traumatic situations back to back to back. You never have any time to understand or make sense of it all. So it's just kind of packed on. In law enforcement, there's a ton of traumatic moments and stuff, but to me, they're spaced out. So you had more time to unwind, figure it out. But so my whole story with just going into the NYPD is, what do you call it? When I was in the military, I come back from my first tour. They sent recruiters to Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I took the NYPD test. My friend's like, you got to take it. I was kind of brushing it off. Thank God I listened to him. I took it. They had my score. And when you get out of the army, you get a letter signed by your CO. When you get out, give us a call and we'll start your investigation. All right. I go back to Iraq. I get back in January of 2006, get out of the army in April. Phone call on I-95 driving up to New York. Start the investigation. I'm in the academy in 3 months. Yeah, I never had a chance to ever breathe. Like, just, I have a new kid, a wife, I got to pay bills, like boom, 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 and just jump right into it. And never had a chance to ever, I just had all those baggage just continuing on. But now, years later on, now I have time to relax and make sense of it all. But yeah, it's a lot. But, you have to keep going forward.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that you don't have that opportunity to decompress, just to figure out, just to calm down and get a good night's sleep and not have a nightmare and the things that go along with PTSD. Holy cow. Did they provide you counseling or anything like that, opportunities to talk to somebody?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the one thing. This is just my personal opinion. There's a lot of stuff bad about people say about the VA. I've never had any problems. I've always been taken care of. I've always been pointed in the right direction. If there's ever the end of the world scenario, they're a phone call away, services to help you out. So that was just my personal experience with different stuff. But I've done counseling and I've done all the proper channels and everything to make sense of it all. Because the one thing too that's really reassuring is you experience something and you feel alone and oh my God, and it's the biggest thing. But like everything you feel is totally normal, and a million people have gone before you have felt the same way. And just the comfort of that gives you the strength to just move on, and you got to continue forward.
Yeah, I'm sure the thought comes to mind, well, if they could got through this, how did they do it? Why can't I get through it? Sounds like you did. Sounds like you did.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Our next door neighbor on this side is a psychiatrist with the local VA here in Orlando, and their hospital is beautiful. I've seen a lot of VA hospitals from the outside. This looks like something it actually looks like a building from the Batman movie from Gotham City, but it's beautiful. It's just extremely modern. And she talks, she honors the patient doctor privilege, privacy privilege, but my wife's a nurse and they're good friends. And she talks about not individuals who come in, but some of the things that she deals with. She never identifies anybody, but she challenges them. What is it you want to do? Do you want to get better? Are you feeling bad, or are you just here to cry on my shoulder? And challenges people that are suffering from this issue to come up with ideas on how they can help themselves. Because when you come up with it yourself, and she kind of guides them along the way, she doesn't let them go off the edge and do anything stupid, but for her, it works. No. So she's been doing it quite a number of years.
Yeah. The answer's with you. Like, you gotta motivate yourself, and like you deserve it. You went through all this crap. You deserve to have that life, that American dream, but like, you have to do it, you have to, and it's okay to take moments to recuperate and like, heal a bit, but like, You gotta keep going. You know.
Yep. And I think our government could do better at taking care of our veterans. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys went down there every day. You didn't know if you were going to come back to camp or not.
Yeah.
Well, it's very different. I don't want to go political here, but our government can step up and do a better job,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, one tour over there wasn't enough for you. Did you volunteer for the second tour?
It was part of the rotation. So that was early in the war. So nobody ever thought. I have friends that stayed in that did 19 deployments. It became in and out. So I think my units, so I got out in April. They went back there again, I think in December of '06 for the third deployment.
Wow.
And then I had a friend that got killed during that deployment as well that went through the first two. And yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was just part of the rotation. So I went. My second tour was the tour I saw like the most action and everything. But very fortunate, and made it through.
Is that second deployment? Is that when you earned your Purple Heart?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that something you mind talking about?
yeah. No problem. So I
What
was
happened?
yes, April 9th. April 9th. It was a sunny day. So I was very fortunate, very lucky. Yeah, I didn't get severely wounded, but we were doing so. A little background of the city I was in. I was in Samara, and Samara was this little hotbed for insurgency, and they kind of bypassed it during the invasion, and they came back to it, and they would do missions in and out. But every time they would go in it, they would set ambushes, IEDs, and everything. So First Infantry Division, Big Red One, the October of 2004 was like, screw that, we're going in there. So they went in there, did this operation called Baton Rouge. They went in there, they killed 150 people, insurgents, everything, and established a base right in the middle of the city as like a middle finger to the insurgency. Like, we are here all the time. We can see everything you're doing. Mm-hmm. And so they were getting attacked all the time. So 3rd Infantry Division, we went there as a relief force, took over their base. And we would do combat operations. We had 2 infantry companies there. I was an Alpha company. And we would just do combat operations all the time, just engaging, looking for insurgents. So one of the things that they did to kind of like make peace with them a little bit, to calm the populace down, was we weren't going to mess with religious sites and cemeteries. What were they doing? They were hiding weapons in the cemeteries. So my CO was, I want you guys to go in there and search this. In the middle of the day, go search this cemetery. So we go, the Bradleys roll. It's actually a rough part of town. We go in there. Bradleys drop us off. We dismount. I walk in, and the cemetery is an L-shaped, what do you call it, area of land. Tons of grave sites, some mausoleums. So we're going in there, tense. One guy's got a metal detector, beep, beep, walking through, looking, trying to find where the weapons are buried and stuff. We go through, we don't find anything. I remember looking at my lieutenant, sir, we're going to mount up. He's like, yeah, let's mount up. So we start walking back. My squad goes left, the other squad goes right, hops a fence. So as I'm walking in, I'm at the high ready, tense is on the way out, not so much.
Yeah.
I come up, there's a gate, there's a red gate, and then on the other side of the wall is the Bradley. So I'm walking, I look up at it, I see it, I start walking. As I'm walking, the ground explodes, and giant IED blows up. So I go flying in the air, land on my back. I thought it was the initiation to an ambush, like they were going to detonate an IED, and then we're going to start taking small arms fire from all the rooftops. That doesn't happen, but my rifle goes flying. I like spin over, land on my back, crawl behind a grave. I had pulled my shotgun off. I look down. I have blood on me, and I have my right ear is completely. This ear's ringing. My left ear, my right ear is not. So those mother effers blew my ear off. Mm-hmm. So I go to touch it. My ear's there. I just have blood on my face. I look down. I look like a piece of skin. I roll on my back, and my lieutenant. Everybody hit the ground. The hole was 6.5 feet wide by 3.5 feet deep. This monster, they buried it so deep. My lieutenant's like, Klein, you okay? I'm like, sir, I got blown up. He's like, don't have to move. Yeah. So medic comes, grabs me, drags me. I just had shrapnel in my face. They bandaged me up. They friggin' lieutenant and the platoon sergeant like start smashing through. So everybody starts smashing through, trying to find who detonated it. So we come out. They bring me into a house and make me strip down, make sure I had no penetrations I didn't know about, and I was like eating out or anything. So I just had just in my face. We get out, we're getting ready to mount up back in the vehicles, and I hear one of my squad leaders go, "Yo, we got him." So they end up getting the trigger man. He was in a building across the street. One of my friends spotted this guy going to the abandoned building. So when it blew up, they sent a team up there, and he had a garage opener and everything. They dragged him out. So they're like, Klein, come guard the guy that tried to kill you. So I got to sit in the back of a Bradley with a guy that detonated an IED on me. So we bring him back. They friggin' debrief them. So what happened was, as soon as we walked into the cemetery, where the cache was, directly to the right of us. So we pretty much walked over it. It was so tightly packed against the wall. So the engineers came in, and I believe they had to evacuate the site 3 times. It was all booby trapped and everything. Wow. They were like, thank God that IED didn't set that off. If that would have blown that up, it would have killed my squad. It would have just erupted. So they end up blowing it all in place in a mausoleum. So they bring us back. They bandaged me up and everything, took care of me. And then they debriefed the prisoner and everything. So what happened was he saw it. He got the word that we were there and ran up. And they already passed the booby trap. So he just waited for us to come back. And I just happened to be point man and just got hit with it and stuff. So they said it was a 155 round and that they buried it really deep. And that's why I survived. So I'm very, very fortunate. So so I get all bandaged up and I come back to the base and everyone's, oh, I heard you got nuked, man. I'm like, yeah, I got nuked. So my sergeants go up in the room, play some Xbox, relax. You had a rough day. I'm like, all right. So I sit down and I'm just reflecting on what happened. And my eardrum blew out, had blood coming out of it. They're like ear plugging it. 2 minutes later, my platoon sergeant comes back and he's like, yo, we're really low on guys. Do you mind coming back out? We have to do a mission tonight. And I was like, yeah. Threw my shit on and friggin' went out the door and did a mission with them that night. Because our teams were so small. Yeah. So an infantry squad is it's 9 dudes. It's supposed to be a squad leader, and you have 2 fire teams of 4 guys. Our fire teams were like 2 people with a sergeant. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and then they go out and they get ambushed and they're like down 1 guy. But yeah, and that was it. That was April 9th, 2005.
How old were you?
I'm 43. I was born in 81. So I have no idea. I'm horrible at math. count on my fingers.
But that was your second deployment over there, right?
Yeah. So very, very fortunate.
Absolutely. You were blessed on that one. You mentioned a 155 round. Is that a 155 millimeter?
Yeah. So the IED of choice for the insurgents at that time was old artillery rounds that were fired from howitzers and stuff. So what they do is they cut the top off of them and wire a trigger mechanism. It could be a cell phone, car garage door opener. But that was the big IED they would use because they were so plentiful from Saddam's cache that were all insurgents and stuff. And also they were bringing them in from other countries. But yeah, just a real simple thing for them to do. So,
do you know whatever happened to the trigger man?
No, I don't. I actually have photos of him. But yeah, no, I don't. We would hand a lot of prisoners over and the Iraqi army would take them. High value would go to, we'd bring them to a base and then they would take them from there. Mm-hmm. There was a couple guys that I was involved with that actually went to Abu Ghraib, that infamous place that ended up getting shut down. Yeah. And
the infamous prison.
Yeah. But there was a lot of shady stuff going on. The Iraqi army were killing prisoners. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on. That country was in such turmoil. The police department, before we got there, they gave them all brand new Glocks and trying to establish everything. And then insurgents overran one of the precincts and killed 30 of their police officers. So they all quit. So now you had all these extra guns and people running around. You know, just a disaster.
No good deed goes unpunished, right? Oh, man. Well, I think I speak for everybody who's listening to this episode that we're very happy that you made it out of there with no more serious wounds than you had. Were you the only person that was injured?
Yeah.
You would have thought he might have waited.
We're all spaced out. Yeah. He couldn't wait any longer. He just clicked it off.
Yeah.
If I was on top of it, looking back, amazed I didn't get a severe puncture, a piece of shrapnel through my abdomen or something like that, or lost a leg. I had some friends that lost limbs. Really, it's just very, very fortunate.
Yeah. It doesn't look like you messed up your pretty face too much.
No, that's it. Nope. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. You're coming back, you're still a young man. Okay, so you come back, you take the NYPD test, you pass, you're on your way back, they're doing your back. I can't believe they got your background done that quick.
Yo, they needed people.
Yeah.
It was they severely lowered the starting salary. So a lot of people weren't taking it, but I needed a job more than life itself. So, and I know I saved up money. I was financially sound, and I needed a job more than life itself. I remember being at a barbecue with a bunch of cops, and they're like, "I would never take that job for that whatever." And I have no choice.
Yeah, that was when I came on DEA. I'd been a cop for 12 years. I'd been a uniform cop for almost 12 years, and I joined DEA. And the old guys are like, "Did they bring you on as a GS7 or a GS9?" And I don't care. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, you do care because it's a lot more money, And I'm thinking, I'm just happy to have this job.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
a
I
raise for
was.
me either way. But well, no, actually, I took a pay cut because I was a railroad cop at the time. But anyway, it worked out in the long run. So that's in 2006 that you get on NYPD. You go through the academy. We've had some other NYPD officers on here. Like the first police academy I went through in West Virginia, we had 50 officers. And then my DEA academy, we had 50 basic agent trainees. How many people were in your academy total? Not just your section, but the total.
So my academy class was broken up into day tours and 4 to 12s. I'm trying to remember. I think we had 80, 90 companies, and each company was 30 people. It was a ton of people.
Thousands.
Yeah, it was tons. Like, so I was company 71. Oh, it was a lot. It was a lot of people. You know,
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
So
I
funny.
mean, just the training facility must be huge, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I went through the old academy, which is in Manhattan. There's a new academy out in Queens now. It's huge. It's ginormous. And yeah, they put a lot of people through.
And this is going to come into play a little bit later here, but how many officers were there at that time? Gun carrying police officers in New York City?
The number's always a little pumped. I think it was like maybe 33,000. 30 is a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's the one thing about NYPD is like there's muscle. If they can do what they had to do, there's nothing they can stop. Years later on during the riots and stuff, it was pretty wild, but just having that manpower helped, extraordinarily helped.
Yep. And the little town where I graduated high school, we only had 9,000 people in the whole town. You guys got 33,000 cops.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's an army. It's an army.
So our regular listeners here know that when people go through police academy, funny things happen. You got any funny stories you could share with us?
I'm trying to remember. So in the academy, they had an obstacle course. I forget, it was the JST. I forget what it stands for, but the first thing you have to do is jump over a 6-foot wall.
Yeah.
And just a 6-foot wall is endless stories and funny. Yeah, people can't get over walls and stuff. I mean, I'm a tall dude, so I was able to just pole vault it. But watching people run dead sprint and smack into it like Wile E. Coyote and then slowly slide off, or people that get and they have one leg up and then they're like trying to get a leg over and stuff. So, but it's part of it's whatever they deem at the time to get through. So it's funny though. The guy next to me was a Fallujah, a Marine veteran. So me and him were always joking. But once again, we just kept our mouths quiet and just enjoyed the show.
That's what you do in the academy. For any who they're thinking about going to law enforcement, just keep your mouth shut. Don't volunteer. That's not only academy. I'm sure that goes for the military as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a volunteer. When you graduated, did you have any say-so into what part of the city you were going to? Did you get like a wish list?
You get a wish list, and I didn't really know anything. So I forget how it worked. I think it was like 9 slots, and you could pick. NYPD's broken up into patrol, transit, which is the subways, and then housing, which is the housing projects and stuff. So you pick 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I picked patrol. I picked Queens, patrol, transit, housing, and then Brooklyn, patrol. I wanted to do patrol. So, and then they just read off a list right before you graduate, and you have no clue. So I got assigned to the 101 precinct, which is Far Rockaway, which is later on an exciting place to work. But I had no clue where I was going. So my father-in-law at the time worked for ExxonMobil, and that precinct's on the water. It's a beach community. So where he worked was adjacent to it. So he knew all the crazy stories of all the crime. There's some really nasty housing projects there, a lot of gang activity. So he's, oh boy, you're going there. So
wow.
Yeah. So it was a good time. Good time.
Are there a lot of cops that live in Rockaway?
So there's Far Rockaway and the Rockaways. Yeah, there's a lot. In the Rockaways, there's a lot of cops and firefighters. Yeah. So in Far Rockaway, a lot less.
Hey, gang, this is the end of part 1. Part 2 comes out tomorrow, and you certainly don't want to miss that. In the meantime, just a reminder that Game of Crimes is now posting interview videos on YouTube. You can find those and you can subscribe at Game of Crimes Podcast. Our website is gameofcrimespodcast.com, where you'll find all our episodes, our guest book list, and more. And for more content, join us on patreon.com/gameofcrimes. I have several monthly episodes that range from silly to serious, so come on over and join the fun. In the meantime, everyone stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow for part 2.